Bam. And we're live. Here we are.
Hello.
What's going on, everybody?
I can't find us, but oh well.
I could probably find you.
Okay.
So here we are. And we are doing the thing where we talk about stuff. There you go. For those of you that are new to the channel who may just now be finding us, my name is Dylan, and this is Leslie. That's why the channel is called Dylan and Leslie. And we a few years ago, sold our house, lived in a motorhome for 2 years full time, and just recently got rid of our big Class A coach and got a Class B van. And so we're making some content about it. Got one video. We got some more stuff coming too. But our goal is, what do we say? Like one long weekend a month. We want to try to use it.
At least, yeah.
At least one long weekend a month. And we bought it in December, and we got to use it for the first time. We used it when we got it.
Yeah, we slept in it day one.
Right. But to actually like have it home and then leave for a weekend and go away for a 3-day weekend because she had MLK Day off. So to actually take a 3-day weekend and go, well, this was our first time. So we just did it the other day. We got back a few days ago. And
so it was time for a live.
Yes.
As we said we would do one in January.
Yes, because we're trying to do a live stream once a month on this channel, plus a lot of our other content that is coming. But we figured it'd be cool because this is our first one, really, with this coach. Tell you some things we learned and tried for the first time, and kind of how it's different traveling with this versus our big coach. And it's kind of weird for us because our first RV together, we moved into and lived in full time day one. Like there was no like learning curve. Like we just moved. So we did it opposite. Like I think a lot of people like they'll get a little RV or some kind of RV and then they might like phase into living full time. But we're doing it backwards.
Correct.
So we lived full time right away, 2 years, and now we're like weekenders, and it feels kind of weird. It's a totally different thing.
So for 2 years, we've not had to pack for anything for one. So that feels different. Like learning how to be prepared for something, I guess. Including cooking, because still the part of the reason we want to travel like this is so that we can eat our own food. So deciding how to prepare food, pack clothes and essentials, along with camera gear and anything we might get into. So yeah, it is a different mindset that almost feels harder, even though it's so much simpler.
Yeah, because you do have to like pack it up and then unpack it when you're done. It's a weird thing to not have your whole life with you all the time. Like, because you can actually forget stuff. When we had everything with us, we never worried about it because it was just all there.
But the great thing is if we forget something, we can just roll up to Target, park in a parking spot, and go get it.
That's true. That's true. So let's talk about that. So the freedom of the size of it. Let's talk about how different that is.
Driving.
Oh, yeah. So our other coach was 38 feet long and weighed 24,000 pounds, and we pulled our Jeep Wrangler behind it, so we were 58 feet long when we were in motion. Now we're 21 feet long. We fit in a parking space, like a real normal parking space.
Which is great in of itself, but also navigation. Like we can use just navigation now.
We got a super chat.
Who's Greg?
I'm essential. Could you pack me?
Does it say Greg? Or is his name Greg? Like, is he saying I'm essential Greg, or is he telling Greg he's essential?
Maybe he's telling. There's no Greg
I
here
don't
right
know who
now.
Greg is.
Thank you, Mr.
Thanks
Goat,
for
for
the
the
super
super
chat,
chat.
Mr. Goat. But I don't. Was that for
Maybe
us?
it's a movie
Did
quote.
I
It could be a movie quote that we don't know.
meet the parents reference? We
It
totally missed that one.
is. I'm essential Greg Peck. You're right. That is from that. Okay, gotcha.
Whoops.
Yeah. Anyway, what were you saying?
Navigation. So
Yes.
the ability to just use Google Maps or Apple Maps and just drive somewhere is a really incredible. So um, we didn't have the opportunity to do that.
Thank you, Matthew Perkins, for the super chat. He says, driving through Georgia right now from Florida to Tennessee. The weather here reminds me of back home in Wisconsin. WTF. Anyway, happy anniversary. Thanks, man.
Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Where are you driving through in Georgia right now? Also, put that in the comments.
Yeah.
Give us your direction, because we're kind of right on the way.
But I also confess to you this trip. So everybody always asks, like, does Leslie drive? Does Leslie drive? No, Leslie was the navigator for the Class A. Dylan is a poor navigator. So the fact that we can use Google Maps now, so I've driven the van since day one. It's no big deal. And we were laughing about it. He was like, well, you just seem so comfortable. Like, you never did this with, and I was like, what it was, we were pulling off the interstate, and I was like, I'm not sure where I'm supposed to go. And you, in your brilliance, is like, well, the sign's there, so I'm sure it's there. And I was like, and navigation is why I never drove the big motorhome.
She's amazing at it.
So
she's amazing.
The fact that I can navigate myself and drive the vehicle, I will drive the vehicle.
And I say we don't have to worry about where we go, but there was a road that we turned down.
We had to back
up. And we had to back up and turn around because it said low hanging trees, 8.5 feet, 8.5 feet, and we're 9.5 feet tall. I did not think we were going to run into that anymore, but sure enough, we did. But for the most part, the size is really nice because if you need to run into Target for something, you can just run into Target. If you need to get fuel, you can get fuel anywhere you want at any normal gas station. We used to actually have to plan every trip, like the night before. We'd be like, okay, I'd go look at the miles to zero on the motorhome. Like, we have 150 miles left on this tank, which means I really need to get gas in 50 to 75 miles. Where is the pilot or the whatever that we could fit in? And then I would literally satellite map it and look and see how I would pull in there and stuff. And we don't have to do any of that stuff at all anymore. It's great. We didn't even know where we were going this weekend. We had no plan.
We did have a plan.
Well,
we were outrunning the weather and the rain, and we couldn't avoid the wind.
Paul, thanks for the super chat. Happy anniversary, Leslie and Dylan. I appreciate that. For those of you that don't know, our anniversary was yesterday. 9 years yesterday. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. The traveling part's pretty cool because you just don't have to. And like, we went to some historical sites and stuff. I literally said to you a couple times, like, we'd been to Savannah a bunch of times. We've been to some of these towns that we went to this week. Because we went to Jacksonville, we went to St. Augustine, Florida. And I even said to you, I was like, is there anything that we've driven by because we couldn't fit before? And sure enough, there was like a half a dozen, and even on that island we went to, we wouldn't have fit our big coach. We couldn't even go there unless we made a reservation in a local place, parked the RV, took the Jeep, went to there, but that would take a day to do that. Where this was like a 15, 20-minute stop. We could come and see it and keep going. It was great. It was so cool.
Yeah, so a lot of folks are talking about navigation. So Google Maps versus Apple Maps. Folks are saying Apple Maps is great. I agree. I do like that Apple Maps is so intuitive to be like, take the second light and use the
Mm-hmm.
second from the right lane.
Mm-hmm.
That is very helpful. And then somebody just mentioned Waze. I've not used Waze in a really long time.
No.
The only time we use Waze is if we're stuck in traffic, because hopefully maybe somebody made a comment to say why we
Mm-hmm.
were stuck in traffic. But we didn't have those flexibilities with the motorhome. So I think folks don't understand, like when we say navigating, this was like planning with a separate app that we had to pay
Mm-hmm.
for, to where we could fit, where there were no low bridges, there were no crossings we couldn't get over, the road was wide enough, and then literally had to keep that running. And sometimes we're in rural places, so I'd literally like take a screenshot of that so I'd have a clue where we were going. I'd have that running along with Google Maps, because all of these applications have all these features where they're like, oh, I can save you 5 minutes, turn here. We couldn't do that. Like, we
Mm-mm.
didn't have that flexibility. So yeah, Waze, I didn't even think of it because it's been so long since I used it. But yeah, now I'm going to use
Yeah, we
Waze
could
again
use
because
Waze.
I like it.
Yeah, because what she's talking about is Google Maps will reroute you if traffic happens. The problem is that Google Maps will reroute you down a dirt road if it wants
Mm-hmm.
to, or it'll route you down somewhere where we couldn't take the big RV. So we were kind of stuck, and we had to like pre-plan everything. We don't have to do that anymore. It's just completely gone. This thing is it's super fun. Um, okay, so that's navigation and the actual traveling part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, 15 miles to the gallon is sweet because we were
Yeah.
getting 5.5 to 6 before. So we're going 350 miles on $50 worth of gas, which is fantastic. Um, so that's pretty awesome. 350 miles before would have cost us almost $300. So, well, let's see. 350 miles would have cost us $160, and this costs us like 55 now to go the same amount of miles. So it's like a third. So that's pretty sweet. Plus, it's easy to drive. Um, let's talk about the savings of where we have to stay.
Yeah. So the other pain, probably the biggest motivator, if you missed our first live stream about this, the biggest motivator to decide to change course was the inavailability of places to park our big motorhome.
Mm-hmm.
Um, was getting really frustrating for the planning part. You know, planning, I'm okay with planning. If I can throw it in a spreadsheet and I can plan something, like that's fun. But when you are dead stopped because literally you cannot plan anything, that is frustrating. And I don't have hours and hours. Contrary to our last live stream where I said I just want to lay on the couch. I don't have
No.
hours and hours really to spare. Um, he's in Tifton heading up
Oh, so he's
75.
passed us already. Okay, cool.
Tifton is close to Macon, isn't it?
Oh, is
He's
it?
not coming this
But he's
way if
not
he's
coming
on
this way. He's already
75.
on the
Yeah.
west side. Okay.
Um anyway, so planning was hard, and so now we could plan. We can find places to stay.
Mm-hmm.
But
But we don't need them,
right.
really. So, um, we didn't even get an RV spot all weekend. We stayed in Cracker Barrel parking lots. And you might be
We
like,
have not plugged our van in
ever.
since we purchased it.
Mm-mm. So we'll get to that in a minute because that's part of this.
Okay.
So our big RV pulling the Jeep was 60 feet long. We could go to a Cracker Barrel before. The problem is that in order to live in that thing, um, you had to run the generator to have any kind of electricity, which is kind of rude. That's kind of against the rules of the road when it comes to staying in, like a Cracker Barrel parking lot because you're like in a space next to another person. Um, and so it wasn't practical for us to do that. So even on a weekend trip, we would have to stay at like a KOA or something. So for example, if we were to go away for this weekend, if you were to stay in a hotel, it would be like $150 a night. If you were to stay in a KOA, it was going to be like $80 a night, $75 to $80 a night to stay in a KOA with a 60-foot long rig. Um, we stayed in a Cracker Barrel parking lot for free. The cool part about it is we bought the coach we bought, this van we bought, because it does not have a generator. It has lithium batteries and solar and a 3,000 watt inverter. And it has a 200 amp, I think, second alternator. It has two alternators. It has the normal, like 160 watt, 60 amp alternator to run your engine on your car, but it has a second one in addition to that. And so between the solar, so like for example, it was really cloudy today, therefore the batteries probably didn't charge all the way up just with solar. But if it's a sunny day, the batteries will stay charged all the time. I never have to plug the van in. If we're living in the van, we can go 24 hours no problem using the microwave, using the air conditioner, using whatever. Making coffee is the most, with the electric kettle, is the most crazy thing.
Yeah, but it only takes like less than 10 minutes and then you just cut it off and it comes back up.
Right. Plus, if for some reason we want to make more electricity, all we have to do is start the van.
Right.
And it just sits there and idles and charges it up in like 35 minutes. The van is all the way back up to full charge. And it's just idling and quiet. Like it's not a generator. It's just like the van is just running. So it's super quiet and you don't disturb your neighbors or anything, which we don't have to do. We could stay in a Cracker Barrel parking lot. I mean, I turned the inverter on. I was watching the NFL playoff games. We were just having drinks, doing normal stuff, cooking, eating, whatever we wanted to do. Ran the furnace because it was a little chilly at night. Wake up in the morning, make coffee, and then you're ready to go to the next place. And when you start the van, by the time you get to the next stop, it's all charged back up again.
Mm-hmm.
So we never have to plug it in. I think I would say the biggest stopper of how long we can go is just our tank size.
Because it is smaller capacities. Mm-hmm. It is the perfect, like road tripping vehicle, I think.
For sure.
Somebody said, is there a big depreciation upon trade-in with your full-size RV, or does the RV depreciate less than a traditional vehicle?
Typically,
more.
Way more. You lose your butt on RVs when you trade them. Except for right now.
Yeah.
I actually got what I paid for that thing 2 years later.
More.
Yeah, more. When I traded it.
Yeah.
I'm literally talking about actual trade equity, not like fake numbers. Like I got actual trade equity. What I paid for the motorhome 2 years later. That's not normal, but because of inventory and stock and what everything's doing right now. And then you might be like, well, yeah, you just bought a motorhome and now are you going to be stupid upside down in your new one? I would say yes, because I bought this one brand new. However, a little bird told me the other day that I know what I paid for mine. And I know that in May, the price is going to go up like $24,000.
Yeah, for the same coach.
For the same exact coach.
That is going to help us.
So that's going to help. Yeah. That's going to help us because, I could probably, in May, sell it for what I paid for it if I wanted to. Because first of all, there isn't any.
Yeah, they're really hard
It's really hard to find. Second of all, the prices are going up so crazy. So I think we're okay. In any other time in history, you would be right. You would just lose your butt on the thing.
But the same thing with our Jeep. Like Jeeps do retain their value, but they still depreciate. It's still a vehicle. But we did pretty good on that trade
Yeah, the
also.
Jeep we did really good on too.
So, and then somebody said, does Walmart still let people camp there overnight?
They do.
Some. All of this is relative and permission based, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, and this one does have, the big coach did have benefits, but the versatility of the smaller one, yeah. I couldn't live in this thing.
Yeah, no.
Let me just be real. The big one was fine to live in. I could not live in this one.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe if we didn't work, we've talked about that. We could be super simple and dumb if we didn't have to work. But the fact that we do, we have to have
and that's why we're here.
Yeah.
Like, we need this space. I mean,
But it is also nice to. I mean, we've talked about this. The reason we got space was to have workspace. That you could then also walk away from without having to pack it all up.
Yes.
So that is nice.
It's a really, and I think that's, somebody asked why I was smiling so much since we moved in our last live stream on the guitar channel. And I didn't think about it then, but I did think about it since then. And having this, because this is my office, I can walk out of this room. I mean, I might have a guitar hanging in the living room that I play while I'm sitting at the couch watching a movie or something. But I can walk out of this room and close the door, and there is no guitar stuff in the rest of our life outside of this room, as far as like it invading it, right? And so in the motorhome, it was like there was just stuff everywhere. I mean, we were so like stacked up in work and guitar parts and just everywhere. You couldn't get away from it. And for me, being like the workaholic, never stop my brain person that I am, it's really nice to be able to just be like, you know what, walk out of the room, close the door, and like just not think about it for a while.
They don't do leasing finances on RVs, do they?
I don't think so, huh?
Yeah, I didn't think so.
No.
So what else? So traveling,
Yep. Staying. Those are probably the biggest things. I think
cost. We talked about that.
Talked about the cost of it. Way cheaper. Operating cost is way less. Mm-hmm. Even insurance is way less. We have to pay in Georgia. This is just a little thing. In Georgia, we have to pay when we go to get our first set of tags for this car. Anytime you buy a new vehicle in Georgia, you have to pay an ad valorem tax, and it's based on the value of the vehicle. But the way they do it with trades and the way they do it with out-of-state sales and stuff, my big motorhome, and then it's all weight based. So my big motorhome, I had to pay like, it was almost $5,000 in taxes, I think, when I went to get my plates. This time it's way less because of how it worked with the trade. So that was sweet. And we don't have to pay heavy anything anymore.
But I don't know. It's because we had already paid a portion. It's based on trade value. Yes. The difference in the ad valorem value. Mm-hmm. And it was worked into the deal. Like,
yeah, there's a bunch of reasons for it. I'm just saying the overall.
It's not less, though. We didn't pay less, is what I'm telling you.
Oh, okay.
It would have been more.
It worked out. Oh, that's right. Okay. I guess the tag part, though, is half because of weight. Because that's all weight based, and we don't have to pay that anymore.
That was only the $50 surcharge.
Okay. Maybe that's right. Maybe I'm wrong about that then.
Yeah, we paid it before, and so now...
Now we don't have to because we don't have to pay it twice, basically.
We're just paying the difference.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah. I don't understand how all that stuff works. All I know is when you told me what it was today, I was like, oh, sweet. It's way less than it was last time. Let's see. What else? Those are the biggest things. Okay, so what about, are there any... We're going to make a video about the little changes that we're making to it because stuff we're figuring out But is there anything major like that? Like for anybody that has one of these, probably the biggest thing is we got a chamois for the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably so. We have a wet bath, so when you take a shower in there, it gets everything wet because it's a wet bath. So then when you want to go to use the restroom or something, like the toilet and the sink and the walls and stuff are all wet. So you have to dry it somehow. So we just went and got a synthetic chamois and we just keep it in there, and that's pretty awesome. And then we figured out this strategy on the way home because this is another thing we never had to worry about. We never put it up, like because we lived in it, so we never put it up at the end of a trip. Like we never like parked it in a parking space and let it sit for a month, like because we always lived in it. We drove it once a week, no matter what, really, usually. So Leslie came up with this great strategy. It worked awesome. Do you want to talk about that, like how what we're doing when we come back?
Yeah, so our plan was just to, I knew his plan was to stop and take care of the tanks and everything before we parked,
Mm-hmm.
obviously. And I was like, so this trip, we didn't talk about what we did. We went to 3 different beaches. So, and it was rainy one day and windy. And anyway, we obviously track in and out and we were living in it for a weekend. So it needed to be cleaned. Like, you don't want it to just sit
Mm-hmm.
and then have to deal with it the next time you get in it. So I was like, how are we going to just wipe this whole thing down and be ready for the next time? So that's literally what we did. So I think another important thing we're trying to figure out, because of the tanks, we are trying to be more conservative with water than we've ever had to be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So in the spirit of conserving water, I mean, what the opposite of using more water is probably creating more waste, but it's just the two of us. I don't feel like we literally had like this much trash after a weekend. So
Yep.
we're not like huge trash generators, but just did some disinfecting and cleaned it all down. And that way you could rinse everything out, a final rinse, and then we could dump tanks and we were good to go. So,
And there's a Camping World like a mile from our house that has a dump station. So we can literally roll back into town, pull in the parking lot, kind of wipe everything down, do our final cleanup, and then dump the tanks right there and come home and of course pick up any supplies we need or whatever. I think Bard asked, she was wondering,
if we were taking the Instant Pot.
no, we're not. I think the Instant Pot would be too inefficient for our battery system
Mm-hmm.
to use. You want to talk about what we're trying to do? Maybe we'll do it a little different next time, but it kind of
Yeah.
works. It kind of
So
works.
similar to what we were just talking about, like conserving water, conserving energy. Also, I am not like, I mean, I work full time. I'm not like happy homemaker, love to cook person. It is just something that has to be done. So I'm trying to prepare for these trips, pre-prepare meals basically, and then because we actually have pretty good fridge space, so pre-prepare meals that are just ready to go, super convenient that way, because we are both terrible. If we are busy, especially when we're traveling, we will just go, 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 and then be like, oh, maybe we should eat.
We both do it.
And you know, because we're the opposite of a lot of people. A lot of people like to travel and because I know everybody asks us, like, oh, you went to such and such town. Where did you eat? One, we don't really eat out that much. Two, again, we're not interacting with a lot of people right now. So, being able to sustain ourselves is kind of important too. So, pre-preparing meals that go in the fridge. Um, and then, I don't know, this is not sponsored. I'm sure you can get it on Amazon. Maybe we should do a link. But if you've not used Dawn Power Wash, that stuff is amazing. So I don't even want to do dishes when I'm traveling. So I'm like literally like, here's this thing. We're going to heat it up. We both have a meal. Like it's enough for both of us. And then spray it down with Dawn Power Wash, close it back up, and I'll just bring it in and stick it in the dishwasher when we get back.
Yeah.
Which is not a luxury I had in the other motorhome, of course. So I'm also loving having a dishwasher for those of you who are like, what do you like about the apartment?
Because
I like a dishwasher.
in the motorhome, based on space and not having a dishwasher, I feel like we were doing dishes every 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
because you had to.
Because you had to. Yeah, I mean, um, yeah, it's just, it's way, way better. It's way better. Um, but I think our food preparation game is going to get tightened up a lot. This was our first trip, and I think once we figured it out a little bit, it makes a lot more sense. We do have our microwave is a convection oven also, so we could actually cook in there. And I think with that, I think what you would do is probably just start the van while you're cooking. So then you don't have to worry about energy use because you're just making it as you're using it. I was watching the output of the alternator versus the draw of the convection oven,
Mm-hmm.
and the alternator of the van still wins.
Mm-hmm.
So we could just start the van, use the convection oven, and it wouldn't hurt our battery for the day, and would be totally fine.
So we're pre-preparing the meals.
Yep.
Heating them up. Using for coffee, we did mention coffee, so we got like a instant electric kettle, and I say instant because that sucker is fast.
Mm-hmm.
To boil water, and then we're doing, what do you call it, AeroPress coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Just to keep, because we just have a really small travel one. So that is how we do coffee. Let's see. Somebody said, how are you prepping your meals? So I'm simply just making a meal we would have normally, and we bought some glass Pyrex. I don't know what size they are, but one of the little square ones is big enough for both of us to have a meal. So each of those is a meal.
So we might do like black beans and stuff for like burritos in one, then make pasta like some kind of spaghetti or something.
Mm-hmm.
Put that in another one,
or like a breakfast hash or something in another.
And then we'll bring like a package of tortillas to put said stuff in. You know, like if you make burrito stuff or whatever, like that sort of thing. And we are bringing bottled water. Again, to conserve on water usage. So really, we're using the water in the van basically to take showers and flush the toilet.
I did fill up my water bottle
And
a few times.
Yeah, but mostly that's what it's for. I mean, it could be used for whatever you want. We're just trying to see how long we can go without having to...
And we weren't being ridiculous, I
No.
don't think. It was not on my mind to be conservative.
Same.
But I just want I want to get smarter.
I wanted to realistically know, realistically live without super stressing about it, see how long we could go the first time. And then be like, okay, how can we cut this usage in half or down a percentage without impacting like how fun your day is? Because you don't want to do that. You don't want to be nerding about it so hard that like it's not fun anymore. So,
somebody said way smaller gray tank. It is way smaller.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, it is literally like 1-to-1. Like when we first got the van, even when we were just testing stuff out, when we ran out of water, the gray was full. Like it is, and we didn't have that in the other motorhome. Plus, you would hook up to city water a lot, and this is like a 1-to-1 ratio. So like figuring out what that means for us as we travel is important. Somebody said, is there anything fun to make with broccoli? I have yet to find it. I really like broccoli, so we use broccoli a lot. Asian, like stir fries. But if you're not a fan of broccoli, I want to figure out how to be a fan. Air frying is the way to go.
it. Yeah.
And if you don't have an air fryer, you can probably roast it, and then maybe broil it right at the end before it burns.
So it's crunchy.
Yeah, and keep it al dente. Mushy vegetables are no good.
for sure. Yeah, I think that's.
Does that cover all the
I
things you wanted to talk about?
I think so. Just to give people an idea of the
Somebody did
change.
say it must be safer. It does feel safer.
Yes.
There is more safety in this van for one. It does have some more modern features as far as like lane assist and things like that. You can see better, obviously because we're smaller, and the mirrors are really good. Actually, I'm not a mirror driver. I'm like old school, like look over your shoulder and you see all the things. So that was an adjustment for me. I was like trying to figure out. I'm a very confident driver, but the fact that I can't look in the rearview mirror and actually see the road behind me because it's this big van, and you can't look over your shoulder because there's like a pillar of a door there. Like it was a really strange thing for me to like realize perhaps how much I do those things, and then you're like, crap, that doesn't work. Um, so now I'm a much better mirror. I thought about it when I was driving the car. Even like I feel like I just use all the mirrors more now because
Good.
I had to learn how to be a
I
mirror
own.
driver really quickly.
I really only use mirrors, but that's the way I've been driving for a long time. And but there is an overall. Yeah, obviously you're not 30,000 pounds with the Jeep, and there is. I don't care what you're driving, but when you're driving a motorhome, like a big motorhome, there is a feeling that if you hit anything, that this thing is just going to collapse like a cardboard box around you. They are. It is. They are not.
We were in some. We could never drive the big motorhome in wind.
15
This
miles an hour and above, I just wouldn't do it.
we could not escape the wind. We could escape the rain and the wintry mix that was here this weekend, but you could not escape the wind. It was literally everywhere. I searched. I searched all the cities. I was willing to drive anywhere if I could get out of the wind. But it was gusty, like 40 to 50 mile an hour gusts. And of course, we go to a coastal region, and I
Mm-hmm.
mean, literally driving over some ridiculously high bridges. And we learned that if you have cruise control on, that the wind can hit you hard enough to mess up the traction control and kick off your cruise control.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a really scary feeling. But once you realize what's happening, then
It's
you
no big
just
deal.
know that it's happening. But we could drive it, and it was fine.
Yeah, we would
I'm
have
not saying it
never.
was pleasant, but we could do it.
Yes, and you're not fighting it the whole time.
No.
We would have never even been able to drive our big coach in it. It just wouldn't have worked.
Everybody
So,
is naming all of these things with
broccoli.
cheese and butter, and yeah, we don't eat any of we don't eat that stuff. So I am interesting. I am interesting. I am interested in Doc said broccoli and fermented black bean sauce is awesome. I don't even know what that is,
Fermented black bean.
but I would be
I'm interested in that.
trying that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a kimchi guy, so I like fermented stuff. Wine, wine mostly. Awesome.
Can a large RV tip over in a strong wind?
Theoretically, yes. I've never felt like it was going to happen to me. But yes, theoretically. Yeah.
Butch said taco meat, bag of Fritos or Doritos, and made mini taco salad. That makes sense.
So I've been wanting to put Fritos in my burritos lately. I told you that a couple weeks ago. I want to try it.
We don't buy Fritos unless it's chilly weather. It's definitely chilly
It's
weather.
definitely chilly weather.
Are y'all like, you eat soup and chili anytime, or does it have to be the right season?
Good question. Dennis says that you are interesting.
As he's probably laughing at me.
Probably. That's okay.
Asian markets have fermented black beans. I will definitely look
We
for
are
that.
gonna
We
go
have a
look.
great Asian market here.
Yes, a really good one. They
'Cause
have like all kinds of dead animals.
I like
feed and
all
stuff.
the things a lot of times.
Yep. Cool. Well, thanks for coming and hanging out for our little monthly live stream on this channel. We've got a couple videos coming out soon about all the little things we're figuring out specifically with this coach because it's very unique in how it works, It's not an old-fashioned motorhome. There's a bunch of technology in it, and it changes kind of how you
Yeah, so we've never
use
done a
it.
bunch of nerdy stuff on this channel, but we may have to because the nerdy stuff does not exist.
Yes,
So,
because this technology is new, and I'm even in a bunch of like Facebook groups and stuff about this particular model, and nobody knows anything because this design with this lithium package and all this stuff just came out. And the touch screen that we have in there to control it all, nobody has it. Like it's brand new. So I probably will do some videos so you'll see some more stuff. And not just that, like a bunch of little goofy stuff that we figured out how to store sewer hoses and stuff because there's no space in this thing. Like you remember my old coach, it had these huge doors and you could put like we carried a boat with us in there.
yeah, I mean, space to like store outside things is what
Yes.
we mean. It actually has a
A
lot of
lot of space inside.
storage for the living area.
But we had 200 cubic feet of outdoor space in our other
Mhm.
coach, and we have none on this
Zero.
one.
Yeah. Um, so Doc said his broccoli cream soup has no dairy. I feel like now I want Doc's recipe for broccoli cream
Doc has
soup.
my info.
That
He
would be
has my
amazing.
deets. He would be able to.
If any of you have any delicious non-meat, non-dairy recipes that you would like us to share and try, I would be very interested.
I mean, I would make them on the channel.
Um, a lot of people are like, anytime, soup only when sick. So everybody's kind of all over the place.
Yep.
Soup with enough crackers in it, I can eat it with a fork.
I
love that.
I like that. I'm the same way.
Yeah, and so that's the funny thing. So like I'm saying, like Doc, I'm interested in your like cream soup because he likes hearty things and I like broth. So like we don't even like the same kind of soups. So we have to figure that out a lot of times. He makes a really good potato soup that he never makes me anymore.
Oh wow! Creamy
He
potato
makes
soup.
a good mushroom soup that he never makes me anymore either. Full disclosure, he never cooks anymore.
I'm making a lot of pickups these days.
Yes, you are.
A lot of pickups.
Full disclosure.
I made 18 yesterday. That's a lot. There when so just to I don't want to talk about guitar stuff on this channel, but I will tell you. Back in the day when I was cooking a lot and making potato soup every day, I was making 18 pickups in a month, not in a day. So,
Doug said my last time cleaning the house I built in 1984 is being sold next week. Finally cleaning it. He's sad.
oh,
That's cool though, but he also said move into the house of my dreams, and I can't wait to see it, Doug.
yep.
We
And it have RV hookups. We're gonna come and
we would
visit.
like to see it, even if it's just the yard.
Yeah, we yeah. Next time we get down your way, Doug, we're gonna definitely call you and look you up. So, awesome, you guys. This has been super fun. Thanks for hanging out with us. I think we've gone an hour on or 45 minutes or so on this one. So this is cool.
Yep, I appreciate y'all wanting to know about just life for us.
Yeah, it's going good. We're gonna do a review on the car too, because the car is completely a departure for me. For me to have a car with batteries in it is weird, but it is amazing. Um, I've gone over. I went over 2 weeks without having to put fuel in it, and it's still really fun to drive. So, yeah, that's that. Well, thanks for hanging out, you guys. We will see you all soon.